Welcome everybody to LuraTech's webinar today on smart scanning apps. Business processes begin on the smartphone is what I'm going to talk about today. For those who don't know me, my name is Carsten Heiermann. I'm Managing Director and founder of LuraTech. And I am also personally very interested and take care of new products here at LuraTech that we are offering since the very beginning of this year, called the mobile PDF products. And exactly those mobile PDF products are used to also create smart scanning apps. And what I do understand when I'm talking about smart scanning apps, that's what we're going to walk through in this webinar. If you have any questions, as always, just type them into the question field in your GoToWebinar control panel. They will pop up here on the second screen, and if I all of a sudden realize there's a new question, I'm still in context, I'm going to answer it. If I kind of miss it, I at least will try to answer all the questions at the end of the presentation. If it's just too much, I'm going to answer by email anyway. So, however, it's worth putting your questions in. Makes it all a little bit more lively and interactive, and you get the best information package you possibly can when you just type your questions in and get them answered by me. Okay, so let's start right into the topics. We might be ready in 30 to probably 45 minutes, somewhere in between. I am starting this presentation with a little bit of a wrap-up. Most of you, no, not a wrap-up, but a little bit of an overview of what happened since the last webinar. Most of you, or say at least many of you, have been in the webinars that have happened before about mobile PDF products. And since then, we had quite some progress. So what we did is already a month ago again, we released the complete product family with the Android operating systems. Starting this year, we were limited to have all the products available on iOS only, but now it's also including Android. And the products I'm talking about is the PDF Scanner app. I'm going into detail about the products in a little bit, so just mention them for now. PDF Scanner app is one. The other is the Compression Sdk. And the one I'm going to use today as an example to explain what I understand about smart scanning, or when I'm talking about smart scanning apps, is the App Framework Sdk. All of our SDK products for both iOS and Android are also available. No, Xamarin bindings are available for all of our SDK products. So you can either natively have your iOS or Android app working with the SDK, or if you use cross-platform deployment tools, and Xamarin is probably the most famous one amongst them, you can also cross-platform deploy apps with just one software source code using Xamarin, and we can perfectly work with that due to the bindings we created for it. Another update is we designed a second version of a user interface in our apps. And most of you, as we can tell by the downloads, look into the iOS app so far. And the iOS app still has the version 1 of the user interface. And for Android, the new Android, or not the new, but the Android app from the very beginning has had the version 2 of the user interface. And the goal with that new user interface was to reduce the number of clicks and taps needed in order to get to your final PDF document that you can then send somewhere. And yeah, I will introduce real quick, just a 2-minute presentation so that you get a look and feel what the new user interface look like and what the Android app look like when I'm finished with this slide here. In addition, the team worked very hard on improvements in stability. We had some memory things still to solve in the products. You know, these platforms, these products, phones and tablets are sometimes really, really limited in memory. And what we do here with raster graphics, scan documents, images, multi-page documents of hundreds of pages probably, that's really memory intense. So we fixed a lot around that, and I can say, and I think that's true, we reached a certain maturity in this product now that we are no longer shy to put them into any projects of whatever kind. Another important part of it is we improved on our imaging, our filtering, our image analysis to get even better. Image quality, even easier, even faster out of the app, and therefore also out of the SDK products. And we added a couple of small features, including, I don't know, the TIFF G4 black and white layer can be written as a TIFF file now. We're using the SDKs in order to feed that into an OCR to get a better OCR accuracy, if you like that. Just a small feature coming out of projects that we did so far. And what's next? A little bit an outlook. Just at this moment, the team works again on an initiative to even further improve the filters, everything that has to do with those base technology document imaging that you need in order to get the best image quality and the fastest recognition of a document sitting on a table, that it is or clipped correctly and whatnot. We're working on a bigger project to find improvements there. You know, LuraTech is doing document imaging for 20 years now, and we put all our experience and efforts and libraries and whatnot step by step into the mobile products, because that's really the point where you need them. And we want to create products that actually do document imaging without ever having the user to have any idea about that document imaging is going on there, including the SDK products, by the way. So yeah, and later the year we will update the PDF scanner for iOS as well with the new version 2 user interface, again, in order to reduce clicks needed to get your things done, to get your documents scanned. Okay, real quick, a glance at the app, although the app itself today is not really our topic, but let's look at it real quick on how it looks like. I do have an Android phone here in my hand. I have to say I'm not an Android user, so I always have a hard time not hitting the wrong buttons. But what we can see here down in the lower left corner here is our PDF scanner app for Android. And if we start that, you kind of get a familiar view that you know from the iOS app. You can create a new document. It's automatically switching to English when the OS is English, but I didn't have an English OS available right here. So a new document can be created, and here is a list of documents that were recently or that were scanned with the PDF scanner. Let's wait. I'm talking about the SDK later. You can, of course, the controls look different than they used to be in the iOS app. That's more a surprise for me as an iOS user. You Android users probably are pretty familiar with how everything looks. Different, though, is when you hit the plus button and go for a new document. This is a live view now. And as you can see, we still guide the user. It says get closer on the small overlay there in the screen, because if we would shoot a photo like that, that's what the users do. They just don't get close enough. They have unsharp images. They have distorted images, whatever. And that can't be recognized in a way that automatic capture systems, OCR classification system can read something if the resolution is not good. So we guide the user to get closer with an overlay. And when the user is close enough in a way, we tell him to, I did that really bad. Oh, I did it okay. Tell the user to not shake it or something, and then it's done. And you see, you no longer have to leave the camera window in order to scan a multi-page document. You just turn the page, get close enough so that the app automatically hits the button, the button for, and then you can either say, oh, this is bad, and you delete it right here, or you can speed it up a little bit. Let's capture it real quick. No, get closer. Let's capture it real quick. And you can speed it up by saying, looks good enough, which it doesn't, but looks good enough, hit the check mark, and all of a sudden you have a 2-page document. You can then hit the 2-page document. You got it here. You know from the iOS app that now you can tap something and move it around in here. You can delete a page. and you can add a page. And from here, our new GUI just says save as PDF, has a default file name that can be configured, hit ready, and done. The performance here is not really what the performance is. The performance is really good, but this screen sharing thing that allows me to present the iPhone GUI, the Android GUI on the computer here, that eats a lot of the performance as we have it. If you remember, one of the specialities of our app is, compared to other scanning apps, is that you can tap a document, which I did, the first document on the list here. It goes back into a viewing mode, which is multi-page if it is multi-page, and then you can still edit a document again. You can edit a document, adding a page, or you can even, the stored document that you already have, can go in there and work with it and still change it. So we added a lot more PDF and document imaging functionality into our systems, especially regarding working with or still changing already existing documents. That's something you will rarely find out there in the market. Yeah, but of course we know how to do it, and therefore we also added it. The idea behind that is you do send, I don't know, an application for something to your insurance company, and it has 10 pages, and it has so and so many pages that you need to add that, a copy of this, a copy of that, and you start scanning it all in, and once you scan in page 20, you all of a sudden realize, oh, I don't have this other document. So what are you going to do? You either send 2 files later on, or with other scan apps, you just say, no, not safe, don't save it, it's gone. And next day you start it all over again from the beginning. And here you can scan it in as far as you get, save the document, next day edit the document, add a couple of pages, and you get to your goal sooner and more easier and with less clicks compared to others. Okay, that is not our topic today, although it's kind of a good scan app. It's just an app, and I want to talk about how to create smart scanning apps, and not necessarily talk about our app, but about apps that can use our technology to become smart apps. For example, there's this insurance company which wants to allow their users to electronically upload their documents to the insurance company. What users start to do today already. So users take a photo application of their phones, take a photo of a document, it's completely distorted, it's completely probably illegible, it's low resolution, it is probably has spotlights on it where the flash of the photo just erased a whole lot of text in just blinding white, and so on and so forth. That's what they attach to an email, sent to their insurance company, bam, done. Mostly, not the app, but our SDK products are here for those insurance companies to say, we have to solve these problems at the root where the problem occurs, and that's where the image is taken. So why not go forward and say, we offer a very modern service to our customer, a very modern service that also gives us a good image and PR and whatnot, that says, electronic document upload is now possible. You don't now have to go to the mail and send paper mail any longer. You can use your smartphone to send your invoices, your doctor's reports, whatever you send to your bank, your insurance, your energy provider, whoever it is. Or think about inside a company, the Salesforce people, they are out there and traveling all time, but at one point they have to send all their small receipts and whatnot for their travel expenses back to the company. They either take a big scanner attached to a desktop and send something, or they start taking photos with their smartphone, or they waste time because once in a month they have to go into the company and give in all that physical paper receipts and everything else. With an app that creates high quality images throughout, with using an app, using a smartphone, you can definitely allow your Salesforce then to scan their receipts with a smartphone, which is much more comfortable for them, and still gives you the highest accuracy, the best document and image quality as you can get it, and as it is good enough for your back office systems to automatically recognize, automatically OCR and whatnot, whatever you're doing with your documents. So the family I told you is the PDF scanner. That's the app. It's still for free at the moment. Go to the Apple App Store, go to the Google Play Store, download it, play around with it. It's for free. Just don't do it now because please focus on the webinar. Sorry for that, but you can definitely go there, check it out, and see how good it works. The next product that we have is the Mobile Compression Sdk. It's also a very important component when you want to allow your customers to send their monthly statements or whatever scanned with a smartphone into the insurance bank, whatever company. You probably don't want to use all their data allowance that they have per month. Some have 100 megabytes, some have 300 megabytes, some have a gigabyte of an allowance every month. It's not the speed necessarily. The LTE and fourth generation networks are really fast. It might even take a little longer to compress a document and then send it. But you know, the data amount that is sent, that's significant when you badly or not at all compress images like that. And it's a very bad user experience when you have a scan app allow very modernly to upload the images, and if you did that a second time in a month, his data allowance is gone. That will get you 1-star reviews on the App Store. So nobody wants to do that. So we have a LuraTech Mobile Compression SDK for those who already have scan functionality in their apps. Just use it for PDFA, use it for compression, use it for PDF. It has an interface to OCR, can create searchable PDFs as well. And what I'm talking about today is the LuraTech App Framework Sdk. You can use this to build scan apps or scan functionality inside existing apps without knowing anything about document imaging. So all the things I said, user guidance, constant filtering, constant quality assurance while the camera window is open. Is it close enough? Is the resolution good enough? Is it light enough? Is there any reflection on the document? And all these kind of things are filters you can get through document imaging SDKs, including mobile document imaging SDKs. But that's not designed to rapidly develop a scanning functionality where all things are already considered. With our SDK, it's different, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Talked about that before. High compression, mobile compression SDK, PDF support, PDF support, high compression support, color, black and white, whatever. You know that many of you out here know what LuraTech is doing for quite a while, and this is the mobile version of what we're doing with the PDF compressor as well as with the PDF SDKs for Windows and what. So it's available for both iOS and Android if you want to equip existing scan apps with high compression. A really different concept from everything that you'll see out there in the market is the LuraTech App Framework SDK. It's especially not the next document imaging toolkit, because when you take a look at document imaging, now think about you have the task at hand. Somebody told you, please create a scan app or a scan functionality for me in a bank or B2C company, or even as part of a product that is used in companies or whatever. What you can do, you can go out there and look for mobile document toolkits. And that's good. There's a couple of really good toolkits out there in the market. But what you'll have to do is you have to understand what the factor K of this segmentation or binarization algorithm really is. And then find out what's the best setting for any given document. And by the way, do I need to have a different setting when I use a camera from an iPad mini with almost no resolution versus when I use a camera with an iPhone 6 or something where I have tremendous resolution? So you would have to go down to the nitty-gritty and completely understand document imaging when you want to create a scan app using a document imaging toolkit. And we thought, hey, come on. Of course, we can offer all the filters and expose them as an SDK interface, but who knows how to handle those filters best? And we thought we do this for 20 years, so let's wrap it up in components that you can very easily use and do all the differentiation between different devices and different cameras. And does it have a flash? Or does it have a light or not? let's do that all ourselves and encapsulate that in an SDK product that we call the App Framework Sdk. It's a framework because it has modular components in there. You can use the camera window with the constant quality control only, or you can use the camera control with the constant quality management as well as the list of documents, as you could see it in our sample app. You can decide which components to use, but the components you're going to use, those are completely working, including all the document imaging stuff encapsulated in it. So components are there for document imaging, obviously for image editing. You saw filters and everything else. For editing documents, as well as for editing images, it's different. So turn pages, change pages, erase, add, whatever. It has the document list inside your app if you want to have it. It does the on-the-fly quality analysis during image acquisition. It has the complete camera control and device specialities built in. It has high levels of pre and parallel processing. So we always want to give the user an experience that when he hits the last finish button, we want to be as close to ready as we can be. For example, if you scan a 10-page document, 9 of these pages will be already perfectly compressed and perfectly cropped and whatnot. And only when he hits the last button, the 10th has to be ready, and then it's stored so it doesn't have all these long waiting times, which is just simply unacceptable. So we spend a lot of multi-threading, comprehensive pre and parallel processing inside the app. Just one line in here. Of course, it includes as one component the mobile compression SDK I talked about before, and the LuraTech PDF scanner software, or the LuraTech PDF scanner. Our app is completely in source code, coming together with the App Framework SDK, so that you can really rapidly develop something out of it. And just look how we did it and understand the concepts. This is a little technical, but also it's not, so I can very quickly introduce the concept behind that. There's this operating system, iOS and Android, on the very lowest level, and then on top of that we have one version of an App Framework SDK where we package together all the functionalities that we want to have available on all platforms. For example, the basic filtering, the basic compression, and a couple of more things that are really completely independent from the platform that the app is later on running on. So when we improve some filter here, it will be immediately available for both iOS and Android in the future, for example. But on top of that, we have an OS-specific layer. We do need that, obviously, because, again, we have to determine what kind of device are we on, what the specialty of that device. The camera control is obviously very much different on both of the platforms, so we have to work with specialties on those platforms. These expose the App Framework SDK interfaces, and that is where you can build your apps upon. Very classic, standard approach, having an SDK for a platform, developing an app for a platform. But you could do it differently. I mentioned already Xamarin. We have Xamarin bindings as a layer above here for both SDKs. Xamarin would be that line in here, and your one single app source code would work with Xamarin and then being cross-platform deployed, which is very often done, and of course can be done as well with our SDK, as I mentioned it before. Okay, I have one more chart that I want to show you, and that's this chart. And I need this chart here in order to start talking about smart scan apps and what I understand when I'm talking about that. So this is kind of the architecture of the App Framework SDK, very simplified, obviously. But my point is you can use whatever you need and leave out what you don't need. It's a modular SDK. So in the middle here is a document session. That's where the current document that you work with is composed, is compiled, is worked on, and you saw that you can open a document and then you can edit those images in that document and say crop it differently or what in an existing document or in a new document. You can add images through the capture service to that document, sort it around in there. And of course, the capture service controls the specific devices camera in image acquisition. Once a document is ready, you can create it or save it. The document manager is responsible for the document list as we have it, and the document manager reads and writes from the device storage, from the device disk, quote unquote. And it also holds documents that you can tap and gives it back to a document session, to an active document session, where you can then again edit it with all the functionalities like adding, like changing, processing images, and storing it again as the same document, or storing it as a new document, which is also possible just by changing the name. Very good. It is a smart scan app because it is built on an App Framework SDK that has all the functionalities. This kind of scan apps can be built in a couple of days. So really, I'm not talking about tenth of days. I'm talking about single days, because it's almost there. What needs to be changed, adopted, or created is the surrounding window, in a way, with your own or your clients or your own style of GUI. It has to be adopted a little bit on how it looks and feels, so that it looks like a pair, like a part of your own, say, insurance or banking app or something like that. That can be done, and that takes a couple of days, and then a little bit of a quality assurance, and then you're done with your smart scan app that can do all these fantastic things, as we were talking about before. But the real fun just starts after that. Because, for example, think about, I don't know, a bank again or something. When I say business processes start on a smartphone, that's exactly what it is. Document-based business processes start when you acquire an image and send it somewhere so that it gets processed, whatever is in that image there. So you have your application, you have your statement, you have your invoice, you scan it in, and storing it on the device's disk is kind of nice. But you know what you really want to do is giving it to somebody or somewhere so that it gets processed. And the fun really starts when you connect these apps to the IT infrastructure of a company. And as our product is, or our SDK, App Framework SDK, is completely modular, you can, for example, just say, I want to have this document list in my app, but the document list should be populated with documents that are not on the device disk, but, for example, in a specific account, a specific storage place of the customer using this app. And this place is not on the device, but it is in my IT infrastructure. It will be part of my archive. It's part of my solutions that I do have in my company. So leave out the device disk connection here. Use the document manager, populate it through a web service, and all of a sudden your scan app gets real smart, because then you can really start a business process on the device. With the app as we have it, you start a business process on the device by, we can show it real quick. So what you do there, yes, I click to turn on the screen. What you do there is, once you acquire the document, you can hit the document again, tap it, if I can. Okay, tap the document. Sorry, this thing was sleeping. And then you have the share button up there, and you can send it by email from here. You can open it with another app that might be a cloud app. For example, you can open it with, I don't know, Microsoft OneDrive, or so, get it to the cloud. You can, Google is a little convoluted there, or Android is a little convoluted there, because this sent by email also includes uploading it to a Google Drive or something like that. So you get it there, but it's still completely generic. You'll probably end up with, again, sending an email to your bank or insurance company. That's just not good enough. So what I'm saying is, the real fun starts if you go down this route here. And that's where it gets interesting, because what we created is, you probably created an app, an insurance app, and it has scan functionality, a banking app, whatever app, has scan functionality based on our App Framework SDK. And then when you compare these slides here, no, it's all wrong. Sorry. When you compare these slides here, instead of having the document manager store it on the device disk, you can, I'm sorry, I'm clicking the wrong thing here. You can as well use the document manager and talk to a web service in your company. A service provider, a web service through the cloud, through the internet, can as well receive the documents that are created in your scanning app. And this service provider, the web service, that piece of software can then talk to your company IT infrastructure as much as you want to expose it. You can totally encapsulate that, create copies for the web use or something. You can totally open it and give access right all the way until into the archive for this specific user, whatever you want to do. And the scanning app gets real smart when it does not only start a business process here, and I think you can see that a business process after scanning an application or whatever, or a statement, it will be stored through the document manager, through the cloud, through the service providers, and goes into, for example, your standard capture or OCR systems. Your standard OCR and capture systems communicate with the archive, communicate with your ERP, make plausibility checks, understand what it is, classify that, and now it gets real smart because all of a sudden the service provider could deliver back the recognized data, say. And through the cloud, the recognized data can be presented in the app. And all of a sudden, the user can be used to say, is this recognized okay? Is this correct? And you can probably make a correction, and you don't need your own staff here sitting in the capture room, in the mail room, to correct things, but you can really use the user in a way to have him check everything that was recognized and sign off for it by really a signature, maybe with his finger on the screen, or with more qualified electronic signature components and options as we have them available in the mobile world. And then a business process can as well show, give access to, for example, what's the status of my application? What's the result? What is an additional document that's probably needed? And this kind of communication makes a scan app no longer only a scan app, but it makes it an interactive communication device for your users. It starts with a printed out, filled in, signed application or whatever, scan it in, that starts the business process that will be fully connected, the business process is running, and in the end, the business process even will report back to the customer what the results is, and the business process will be finished, including and involving the user in his most favorite way, because users want to use their smartphone for about everything today. And I personally do hate it when I do something and don't get a feedback. I do something, send it somewhere, and I'm wondering for 3 days, did they see it? Did they recognize it? Was it well received? Is it worked on? What's the status and everything else? And these kind of systems, these kind of architecture can give the users a great experience. And all of a sudden, the marketing app of the bank, the insurance, the energy provider's company gets a real value, and saves you a lot of money. Saves you money because when just photo apps are used, the quality is always so bad that your people in the mailroom will sit down there and do everything by hand. They will sit down there, get a really bad image. The OCR software will say, can't tell, I don't know what's on there. It's totally bad image. Of course, the human beings are better in that, so they will sit down and key everything in by hand. Costly, very, very costly. And the percentage of people doing that will just increase dramatically, because this is the use cases that the users force upon B2C companies right now. And why not take the step forward and offer a great service instead of solving a problem with more manpower in the back office here? So you can see, I really like it. It's a great concept, I think, and it can be, of course, enhanced to almost anything. And the only thing that we need would be a service-oriented architecture so that we can communicate from the app into your IT landscape. And some of you already have service-oriented architectures completely offering web services for this and that, like user logon. I don't know. The app probably needs a logon in order to get access to the customer's My Insurance Company site. Service providers coming out of web services, coming out of, I don't know, authentication systems. It's all available. If not, this is not the end of the story, because, and that's a little new for those of you who know LuraTech for a while, we have been a product company, and we still stay a product company. Our product is the App Framework Sdk here. And for those partners here, valued partners who are on here, create an extra business, create an extra offering. If you're good in web services, if you're good in implementing these things here, you will definitely have a very valuable add-on to sell to your customers together with creating an app for them. If you're one of our valued end customers who directly work with us, really new is we can help you. We have an experienced team of web service folks here who know their network protocols and everything else. And those folks can also run the project with you if you like to interface to your back office systems and to help you forward with specifying out your project. And if you're too far away from our hometown Berlin here and you like local support, we'll definitely point the right partner in your area to you for solving the interface problem and then really enjoying and tapping fully into the advantages of smart scanning apps, tapping fully into interacting and communicating with your customers through your own app. Okay, that's about my presentation. I promised between 30 to 45 minutes, and I'm just in the middle of this time frame. Perfect. Thanks a lot for listening today. If you want to talk more about it, if you have specific ideas that you want to bounce off with LuraTech and understand whether we can solve a problem or not with our product offering and our services, just let us know. Just contact me if you like. My mobile phone number as well as my email address is on the screen at this very moment. Just use it, contact me. I'm happy to go through any idea you have and understand whether or not we can do something together. And one more hint is probably right now is the right time to start with it, because you here in the webinar will be the first to know we're coming up with a sales activity. Let's say we will have a sale for the mobile products, and it will start early September. We'll announce it with our next e-news edition, and we try to lower the hurdle and give you an opportunity to spend even less. And we will have a 2-for-1 SDK offering. So in other words, if you buy both SDKs, Android and iOS, you just have to pay one, which is great. Makes it a lot cheaper and allows you to start into a project with less upfront investment, obviously. Okay. So now you know, you better contact me. It's on the screen. Thanks very much. Here's a couple of questions. Okay. Yeah, okay. The official presentation is over. For those who have to leave, it's totally okay to leave now. You will only miss a couple of questions, but I think, yeah, there's one question, basically. It's rephrased in 3 different ways, but it's all going down to the question, what does it all cost? Yeah, it's the popular question that comes up in almost every webinar. So let's go through it and talk about it. The license model for the app is for free, you know that. The license model for our SDK's product is we adopted a lot to the mobile world. So what you need, obviously, is an SDK license. And I told you it's a good time to buy into SDKs right now. You get, even before the activity starts, you get 2-for-1 if you contact me. So you need that developer seat, the developer license, the SDK. And the SDK is a little more expensive than you're probably used to PDF SDKs or something like that with our Windows or whatever product. But we had to do a lot about the runtime licenses. Those are really expensive on Windows and so on, but using apps, we do have flat rates, one-time payments covering unlimited runtime licenses. You can download, distribute your app as much as you want against relatively small one-time fee together with the yearly maintenance, and that's all. So this even allows to set up the investments against what would it all cost if you would do it yourself, and then still distribute a free app with it. If you have a paid app, there's still a flat rate. You can still have a one-time license fee for a paid app plus support and maintenance for it, but it's a little higher. You have a refinancing for that as well, of course. And if you only distribute a very small number of apps, so those are apps that are used for company insights things. So you have a couple of hundred employees in there who send documents when they are mobile on the street or something like that, and you only need a couple of hundred copies, you might want to license a specific number of copies, which is possible. But in most cases, at least when you put your apps on the App Store, no matter if it's free or paid, you would probably better be off with the one-time fee and the yearly support and maintenance. So that was a pretty comprehensive answer, I think, to these kind of questions. Here's another question that is a little very technical regarding integration with specific web services now for user authentication. You know what, I told basically, so that would be of interest for everybody. I told you, as long as it's a web service, we can of course communicate and interact and integrate into our app. Now, whether specific software products that you're using are working with it, I'll take that on the answer list by email and do it individually, because it might be a bit individual. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. That's, I think, at least the majority of the questions summarized. And therefore, I have to say once more, contact me if you liked it. Contact information is on the screen. I have to say thank you very much for listening to me today. Thank you very much for your interest in smart scanning apps. And I hope to see you soon on one of our next webinars. Have a good day, everybody.